Shalom. Shalom and welcome. This is Yasharal, Living Orders and Commands. It is an end-time series to those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, to those who will come to discover that His name is Yahuwah, and that it was He who chose to manifest His word in the flesh in the person of Yahushua Messiah. Many struggle understanding how they are indeed one because of a lack of understanding or the desire to embrace what is set apart. Many struggle that are void of hearing what the voice of the Spirit of Yahushua is saying to bring understanding to this matter. But in end times it will become clear. It will become more clear than ever before. Pray and watch. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I am compelled to present before Yasharal, an awakening nation, consisting of both Hebrews and Gentiles. This segment is entitled, When Valuables Are Valued Too Late. And I want to say this, my brothers and sisters. We can say things and package things in many different ways, shapes, and forms. It is the power and might of the Almighty Father that will open our eyes and ears to hear and receive and discern the life in all communications that is set apart. With that said, let me move into this segment. There are no doubts in my mind that when we think of things that are valuable, most of us think of possessions and or people in our lives. Again, the segment is entitled, When Valuables Are Valued Too Late. When Valuables Are Valued Too Late. This segment was pressed upon me to present to you, my brothers and sisters. There's a word of which many of us are all too familiar with. It is hindsight. Do we believe the scriptures to be true? Do we honestly believe people died during the flood of Noah? Do you believe they received warnings? What about those during the days of Lot? Were they given opportunities to pursue set-apartness and repent? Who has given thought to the possibilities of how people responded during the days of Lot? What were the possible conversations among those who were left behind during the days of Noah and or Lot? Have you ever taken the time to consider the words they may have been saying as Sodom was being destroyed, Sodom and Gomorrah was being destroyed, or as the flood waters overtook them? Yes, fear, anger, and many mixed emotions and chaos is no doubt representative of what was experienced by those destroyed in Sodom and Gomorrah, or those overtaken by the flood. My brothers and sisters, there are many prophecies describing end times, but what most of us fail to realize is that throughout the scriptures we have seen many examples when the wrath of the Almighty Father came about as a result of the fruit of man's wickedness and rebellion. Throughout end times, throughout days of old, we have seen where drought, famine, pestilence, and disease has proven to be something that brought man into a humble state before the Most High. We see that the fruit of man's neglect and wickedness and evil brought drought, famine, pestilence, and disease in many instances in the scriptures. But how many of us have taken time to realize that our very lives become threatened beyond our ability to act? When our very lives become threatened beyond our ability to identify solutions, we become humbled. In other words, when we are beat down, when we are made low, when we see no solution in sight, we become humble. All distractions are laid waste, and we seek out the voice of the Spirit of the Most High like never before when we have no solution in sight. Of course, there are those who will become angry and furious at life's conditions and events, but there are those who pursue set-apartness who will react differently. The key word is those who pursue set-apartness. Keep in mind, my brothers and sisters, the following passages that I share often representing the promise from the Most High. Hebrews 12:5 through 11, which speaks about the discipline from the Most High. I invite you to read it. Hebrews 12, 5 through 11. Also keep in mind Revelation 3:19. I'll read that one for the sake of time. It reads as follows: As many as I love, I reprove and discipline, so be ardent and repent. My brothers and sisters, end times will prove to be a time of refining. Hindsight will definitely produce much regret, but for those who are much regret for those who receive favor and able to press forward. But there will be those who will see in hindsight that it would be too late to respond. Too late. Two words that reflect making the decision and responding not soon enough. I want to invite you to take a challenge. I want you to list the 10 most valuable things in life from your perspective. I also want to invite you to challenge others to take the same test. Write it down, type it up, make a mental note, share the 10 most valuable things in life from your perspective. Once you've done it, ask yourself, are you confident that these are the 10 most valuable things? Ask yourself, are you weighing your judgment and decision based on scriptures? Do you believe the scriptures to be true? Ask yourself, do you believe obedience and worship is important to the Most High Father Yahuwah? In these questions that I'm posing, I invite you to challenge others with the same questions. Now hold that thought. Now let me ask you some more questions. Don't stay with me now, my brothers and sisters. These questions are to provoke thought and prayer. End times are about to get intense, and scriptures speak of individuals within our own house betraying us. Are you aware of Luke 21:16? And you shall also be betrayed by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and some of you shall be put to death. Luke 21:16. Are you aware of Matthew 10:34-36? Say, do not think I have come to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to bring division, a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies are those of his household. Given what I've just stated about betrayal and enemies, keep in mind, end times are about to get intense. Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to be able to discover those who would possibly betray you before it occurred in an effort to prevent it? Wouldn't you like to know what are the evidence, the fruit of individuals who are more likely to betray you in the coming days as end times become intense? What if there was a way to minimize the heartache of betrayal? Would you be interested in knowing that method? I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, there are 4 basic things from a natural perspective that we need to live. And they are, as I have mentioned in times past, fresh air, fresh water, food, and a safe place. All of which are being challenged across this planet and will soon reach our doorstep, where we will find ourselves struggling, searching for fresh water, food, and a safe place to dwell. Now, anyone who does not see these as the top basic natural things that we need to survive, if they cannot see that, that individual poses a risk of being someone who just might betray you, just might betray us in the coming days. You see, if we don't realize that these valuables are important to the last minute, we'll be caught in the congestion of chaos. When valuables are valued too late, we see people acting erratically, desperately. My brothers and sisters, a passage one could review that shows a sequence of events leading to the wrath or discipline of the Most High Father is Amos 4:6-13. I invite you to read it or reread it again. I call it the Amos sequence. Getting back to your list of the 10 most important things in life. First, let me ask you, did you have fresh air, fresh water, food, and a safe place on your list? If you had any of these, how did they rank? Were they at the top of your list? If none of these were on your list or they were at the bottom of your list, do not beat up on yourself. Do not become severely disappointed or become depressed. Most have taken these valuable resources for granted. Though they are the four main things we need to live from a natural and basic perspective. I am aware that the scriptures inform us that man does not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Almighty Father Yahuwah. And some will throw that out. Some will present that. But let me say this. Who has given thought to discern whether the word from the Almighty Father include being good stewards with fresh air, fresh water, food, and being obedient to be in a safe place? Now, if I ask you to redo this list and write the top things of value, would they change? Would you put fresh air, fresh water, food in a safe place? Or will you leave your list intact? My brothers and sisters, the time is now to begin recognizing priorities and determining what living orders and commands are coming before our ears, our eyes. The time is now to realize we will witness when valuables are valued too late. And there will be much regret. I submit to you that time exists now for many. I submit to you that the world will begin to realize how we have taken fresh air, fresh water, food, in a safe place for granted. We have ignored these which are indeed valuables. We will find ourselves valuing them too late, many of us. There will be those of us who will recognize that and be reproved and face reproof and refinement and put these four things at the top of our list from a practical perspective. And there are those who will be overtaken and fulfill the falling away. My brothers and sisters, the time is now to begin witnessing the rise in the Spirit of the Almighty Father Yahuwah, sent in Yahushua's name. In other words, witnessing the Spirit of Yahushua rise among us. The time is now to begin improving in discernment, to identify what the living Mashiach Yahushua is saying to us, to the assembly of the set-apart ones. Extreme humbling times are unfolding, and if we fail to see how when valuables are valued too late could put us at grave risk, not to mention could bring regret, heartache, and possibly death. This is not what the Most High desires of us. Let us recognize the valuables of which He has placed in our possession, in our midst. Safety is offered to those who pursue the will of the Almighty Father, who discern and hears what the Spirit of Yahushua is saying and obey. Pray, seek earnestly to discern and respond with accuracy, as well as continue to watch. Proof is coming, my brothers and sisters. The time is now to reassess what is most valuable to us and recognize that fresh air, fresh water, food in a safe place should be and will prove to be the most critical resources in the coming days. He that waits too late to identify such importance in these resources will be at risk of being caught in the congestion, the chaos, civil unrest, possible death and destruction that is soon to erupt in these last days. Seek out what the Spirit of Yahushua is saying, for hindsight will prove to be a most regrettable thing in the coming days for many, if not most. When valuables are valued too late, I pray, my brothers and sisters, that you do not get caught up in unbelief. I pray that you discuss these matters with others. And if they have difficulties agreeing that these critical components are a priority, you may want to rethink whether you should remain in fellowship with those who struggle with accepting that fresh air, fresh water, food, and a safe place are critical in the coming days. You may want to think and ask yourself, if they struggle with receiving this, will they be among those who will betray you in the coming days? Will those who struggle with accepting these four items as critical, those who fail to see the importance of identifying valuables, who will be among those who will be described as individuals that will fall into the category when values are valued too late? Will you be among that group? Do you really want to continue in fellowship with someone that you know will betray you for a morsel of food, a drink of water, a piece of bread? Or would you prefer to begin to identify the stiff-necked, the stubborn, those who will betray you, or at least demonstrate the possibility of betraying you? I submit to you, it is a good test to determine if we can agree on what are the four most critical things to live from a practical perspective. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. Those who recognize valuables, those who value resources that are important too late, will find themselves in the congestion of chaos. All too often, we just don't want to ask enough questions to one another to uncover those who would be our betrayers. Believe it or not, in our neglect, slothfulness, or desire to entertain compromising fellowships and spirits, it will prove to be most regrettable. But those who are chosen to fulfill the final exodus will face the refinement, the discipline, the humbleness, the reproof that is necessary to fulfill what is written regarding the final exodus. In the coming days, my brothers and sisters, the world will put aside thinking that cash and diamonds and golds and rubies and precious stones and commodities are most important. The world will soon begin to echo the priorities of having fresh water, fresh air, food, and a safe place. A safe place many of you may take where you live for granted. But what if the land became barren and dry? What if the land began to burn with wildfires? What if the land became overly saturated, inundated with water due to flooding? What if the land you're in experienced earthquakes or volcanic eruptions? What if the land that you're in becomes uninhabitable? Soon and very soon, conditions will prove that there will be multiple things that will cause the habitable places on this planet to roll up like a scroll, as I have mentioned in time past. We will witness migrating towards the region where life began in the coming days, those who will fulfill the final end time prophecies and await the return of Yahushua Mashiach. There will be those who will be among the wicked nations who will be gathered as well, because they will gather together to make that final march against the children of Yahuwah, who have been gathered, who will be gathered from the four corners of the earth. I invite you to remember the test that I gave you earlier to list the 10 most valuable things. I invite you to strongly consider inviting those close to you to discuss the matter, to take the same test, and seek to discover agreement that fresh air, fresh water, food, and a safe place should be the top 4. It doesn't matter which order per se, although fresh air, fresh water, food, and a safe place, I believe to be a good order, but I believe without a doubt these are the 4 basic and natural things made possible to us by the word of the Almighty Father. These are the 4 most valuables from a practical perspective. So you may want to ask yourself, do you want to continue with anyone who cannot agree on these 4 as the top 4? I assure you, in the coming days, if not already, those who will become known as the children of obedience will come to know the importance of fresh air, fresh water, food, in a safe place. Will you be among the ranks of the awakening? Enough said on this subject. Be strong and rise up, O Yasharal. Rise up in discernment and wisdom, my brothers and sisters. Our redemption draws near. Until next time, continue to pursue the present will for you, for me, for Yasharal, through his set-apart spirit sent in Yahushua's name. Until next time, continue to press forward and discern what is expected. For our redemption draws near, my brothers and sisters. I pray that each of us are able to endure unto the end. Remember, there is much work to be done, complete with details, and there are living orders and commands going forth. And we will witness a rise in the chosen leaders led by the Spirit of Yahushua Mashiach. Until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom.